Hey gang, it's JC and this is the Daily Dose for Thursday, May 26th, 2011, a combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. Great archives at the top of the page, eye candy along the bottom. We've not been with you for a couple of days because of power outages all over the place. Can't get the computers running, can't get the stuff dubbed, sent over, all this sort of business. So we're back up and running right now, but what a wild couple of days it's been. Yesterday, tornado Montgomery City, Brentwood and Kirkwood, right over the Galleria, funnel clouds. Plaza Frontenac, somewhere in the Frontenac area, supposedly funnel clouds. St. Louis City, funnel cloud. Sunset Hills, 4.5-inch hail. 4.5 inches. Let me just, where's my ruler? I had a ruler here somewhere. I don't know what I did with it. Because I could show you. I mean, this is a baseball. And, but congratulations, hail in a couple of places yesterday. It's just absolutely insane, this thing. A good friend of mine, Rick Steinberg, who is the sales manager at Weiss Toyota, was on television last night just showing all the banged out windshields. There were people all over the news last night with hail damage. This is crazy. And it's just looking more and more like 2011 is going to be the summer and spring, for that matter, of the tornado, with more tornadoes, more severe tornadoes hitting major metropolitan areas, deaths, injuries, all that sort of stuff. It's just incredible stuff that we're seeing. Of course, everybody has a camera now, a camcorder, video camera of some sort. So I don't know if we're learning anything more about these tornadoes. All I know is this has just been crazy, and it's not even June yet. So anyhow, that was the deal. And then, of course, yesterday, because of the storm coverage, everybody's sitting there waiting for Oprah's final episode, and of course it didn't come on because they had to do the storm coverage. So it was on in the middle of the night. They're going to run it again this afternoon, and I've seen little clips of it, and to me, again, I just think the whole thing is overblown, considering that she has her own 24-hour network and is going to be doing another show. You know, she hasn't said that up until now. Finally, yesterday, it's like, I'm going to be working on my new show on my own network, OWN. It's like, so you're saying goodbye and you're not saying goodbye. This whole thing to me is some sort of big sham. Oprah cried while saying goodbye yesterday. Her tears were promptly collected to be rubbed on the eyes of the blind to restore vision. By the way, a website by the name of Jezebel.com put together a comprehensive list of Oprah's favorite things going all the way back to 2002. They tallied everything up, and then they added it together, multiplied it by 300, because that's about the number of people in the audience, of people who got, you know, each one of Oprah's favorite things. Anyhow, it equals about $23.5 million worth of free stuff that Oprah has given away. All right, television, VH1 bringing pop-up video back. VH1 has ordered 60 new episodes. They'll start airing sometime this fall. Ed Schultz, MSNBC, out on suspension for 1 week without pay for calling conservative radio moron Laura Ingraham, quote, a right-wing slut. Seems like he nailed it. Scotty McCreery is your new American Idol. Yeah, buddy. And this new chick that they hired at Fox 2 to go out there and do the live reports just started drawing a blank while she's doing a live report last night. It refers to Steven Tyler as Mr. Taylor. All right. Anyhow, Scotty is 17, beat out Lauren, who's 16. Voting is free, but again, somebody did the tally on this thing, and they just figured if they charged $1 a vote, the show could have purchased 2 Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptors, the best combat planes in the world. The quote here I love. Scotty says, I got to thank the Lord first. He got me here. It's more like 12 and 13-year-old girls who got you there, Scotty. I'm not even sure that Rob Halford's microphone was turned on during the James and Rob Halford Judas Priest performance last night on American Idol. All right, let's shift gears here. So we all like Christina Hendricks from Mad Men. Women like her because she's not some skinny little bitch who, you know, there's so many of them on television, and she's a full-figured gal. That's what most women in America have a tendency to look like. I'm not saying they look as good as her, but they're carrying a little more meat on their bones. And so women like her. Men like her because the sweater meat on this chick is just unbelievable. The only problem is Playboy magazine released a photograph that she was involved in a photo spread about 10 years ago, And you just look at it, you go, okay, that can't be the same person without some sort of physical, surgical, shall we say, enhancement. And so when I saw the picture, I was like, well, clearly they're phoning. Well, now, geez, I've never seen anybody's body change that much over the course of 10 years, but there's something going on here because these babies look real. And again, this might not be a big issue in your life, but for a lot of guys, it is. Kim Kardashian, new boyfriend. New Jersey Nets forward Chris Humphries engaged. I say new boyfriend. They've only been together 6 months of those goofy Kardashians. Let me see if I can name them all. Kim, Khloe, and Chlamydia. Anyhow, $2 million ring, 20.5 carats in that rock. And Kate Middleton's was smaller than that. The new season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians premieres June 12th. She's 30, by the way. He is 26. John Edwards they might. I mean, this is amazing. He might get indicted on these charges of using campaign funds to cover up his affair and illegitimate child. And also, did Arnold Schwarzenegger use taxpayer-funded services to cover up his sexual indiscretions? Stories that are coming. I ordered something from a Chinese restaurant last night that I had never had before. And I would say that the Chinese restaurant, I used to go to a great Chinese restaurant down on South Brentwood. And then they changed management and it just wasn't the same. And I started hearing about health code violations and all that. And that stuff really, really freaks me out. And I loved going to this place. They had a shrimp and scallops, Hunan style. It was the first thing on their menu, and I loved this place. I probably ate there 175 times. Perfect meal every time. Like I said, then they bring in new people, and then it's like, wait a minute. And then I'm hearing about these health code violations. So we started eating at another Chinese restaurant, also on Brentwood Boulevard. And I would say that the meals I've had there over the course of the last few years have been acceptable. They're okay, not great. Nothing to write home about, but just fine, okay? So last night I decided to I was just in the mood to try something new. So I ordered this dish that they have, I think it was hot braised scallops. Okay. Now you know how they can make artificial crab and it doesn't taste like real crab, obviously, but some people just eat it because that they can't afford the real stuff. But still, when you're eating it, you're like, why am I eating this stuff? Somebody must have come up with a way to make artificial scallops because these things were like erasers. They had like a gummy sort of non-scallop-like texture and flavor. I felt like I could throw them down. They'd bounce back up to me. These things were awful. Is it possible? Does anybody know? Is it possible to make a synthetic... it was almost like a cross between an eraser and tofu. And if it was tofu, that's fine. I've eaten tofu. Tofu just takes on the flavor of whatever it is you're cooking it in. And I'm fine with tofu, and I'd rather have that than these awful things last night. But can you manufacture phony seafood? And if you can, stop. I mention this because there's a new thing called a canwich. A canwich. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, they wouldn't put a sandwich in a can, would they? Somebody did. This is a very odd story. Boomer Esiason, who does the morning radio show at WFAN in New York, met with Yankee baseball pitcher Dwight Gooden, was in the studio, and he revealed that during an incident, this is like a goofy thing, Lenny Dykstra, remember, played for the Mets and also Philadelphia, anyhow. So Dwight Gooden is in celebrity rehab with Dr. Drew, and Lenny Dykstra and a couple of his buddies bust into the place and try to rescue him because they thought that he was being held against his will. And the whole thing was just like crazy. He thought that he had been hypnotized by Dr. Drew. I'll say a lot of things about Dr. Drew. He's one of my least favorite people on the planet. I just think the idea of capitalizing on people's addictions is so foul to me, and yet people seem to like it. I also know what I think of soccer, but I have a lot of friends who love soccer. I mention that because the European Champions League is the greatest club soccer tournament in the world. It's the global equivalent of the Super Bowl. All those countries that worship soccer. And the whole thing is coming down on Saturday afternoon at 1:45 at Wembley in London. Fox is broadcasting, and they're having a big thing at O.B. Clark's. So if you're one of those soccer maniacs and you're like, oh, this is my Super Bowl because I'm into soccer, O.B. Clark's is the place to be Saturday afternoon at 1:45. Here's another thing, a little more long range, because this is coming up not this weekend but next. Cardinals assistant to Major League trainer Barry Weinberg, along with Adam Wainwright, David Freese, John Jay, and Daniel Descalso, are going to be signing autographs and trying to sell chocolate chip cookies for fans at the 9th Annual Chocolate Chip Cookie Day hosted by Operation Food Search. It's coming up on Friday, June 3rd from 11:30 until 1. It's going to be at Shannon's Restaurant downtown. So you can get autographs and stuff like that and help out Operation Food Search. Again, that is June 3rd, Saturday from 11:30 until 1. Barry Weinberg, Adam Wainwright, David Freese, John Jay, and Daniel Descalso will be taking place in that. Birthdays today, nothing really big, but I will tell you that it was on this date in 2005 that Eddie Albert from Green Acres passed away of pneumonia. He was 99. I met him when he was well into his 80s. I'd had him on the radio show a couple of times in cities, prior to my arrival in St. Louis. I loved this guy. I thought he was a comic genius. On Green Acres, he was amazing. And then, if you go back and look at the original not Last Picture Show, The Heartbreak Kid, I'm thinking Sybil Shepherd. Sybil Shepherd is in that movie. And, he's just fabulous in this. Charles Grodin is in this. They made a remake of The Heartbreak Kid with Ben Stiller a couple of years ago. And it was just, I felt sad for all the people who never saw the original movie. It's wonderful. It's hilarious. And Eddie Albert was just great in it. Eddie Albert told me a story about Arnold Ziffel, about the fact that, on Green Acres, Arnold would come into the house and the first thing he would do is run over to the TV and get up on the TV and hit the knob with his mouth and change the channel and watch like cowboys and Indians. It would be like watching westerns, And he told me that what they did is they had a clicker, like one of those little clickers you use when you're training an animal, and they would put a piece of candy on the knob of the TV, and when the trainer would hit the clicker, Arnold knew to run over and chew the piece of candy off the knob. It looked like he was changing the channel. They had another pig, Offset, who actually did change the but anyhow, that's how they did it. They put a piece of candy on there, hit a clicker. Arnold was like, oh, we're working now. He'd run over there, and they would make it look like he changed the channel. But Eddie Albert checking out on this date in 2005 at the age of 99. All right, so it's a summer, almost. I know summer didn't happen until well into June, but they opened up the pools for the most part over the Memorial Day weekend, and it's the unofficial kickoff to summer. And as a matter of fact, on Monday's edition of the showgram of the Big 550 KTRS, Trish and I are actually going to do the show from my pool. So be listening from 10 in the morning until 1 on Memorial Day. And don't forget, we're moving the show on Monday, June 13th. In about a little over 2 weeks, we're moving to the noon to 3 slot on the Big 550 KTRS. Anyhow, with all that in mind, the women who are well endowed and semi-slutty and like to wear provocative, suggestive T-shirts come out, and we have a whole bunch of them, and they're on your eye candy feature right below what you're looking at right now. Don't forget also, Speaking Sexually with Dr. Kathy Naughton from the Center for Sexual Health. You have to scroll down a little bit to see that. We update that every Monday and Thursday. So today we have a new episode, and that's sponsored by the Center for Sexual Health. If you got issues, and you can just check that out. We have some great sex stories up there today, including what you're going to see a lot of if you go to see The Hangover 2. So go check that out. Scroll down and look at Speaking Sexually. In the meantime, that's it. JC's Daily Dose for Thursday, May 26, 2011, a combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. In the meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.